This is a greedy hound named Barnaby, blessed with a sharp nose, but cursed with an endless appetite. A stolen prize of fresh meat would soon test the true limits of his selfishness. Will his ravenous desire lead to a magnificent feast, or will shadows trick him into terrible ruin? Walk with him down the dusty road. Let us witness the heavy price of wanting too much. Morning sunlight broke through the thick fog of a bustling market town. Wooden carts rattled loudly over uneven cobblestones, while busy merchants shouted their daily wares to the passing crowds. Deep in the damp alleyways lurked our ragged hound, his ribs pressing against his scruffy coat like the tight strings of a neglected lute. Hunger twisted in his hollow belly with the sharp and unrelenting ache of deep winter. Barnaby possessed a remarkable talent for survival, driven by a fierce jealousy of any creature who held a morsel of food. Sweet, rich aromas drifted temptingly from the open wooden window of a wildly successful butcher shop. The mouth-watering scent of roasted marrow and salted fat hung heavy in the crisp morning air. The burly butcher turned his broad back for merely a single heartbeat to argue loudly with a lingering customer. That fleeting moment of distraction was all the clever dog required. Muscles coiled like tightly wound springs beneath his dusty fur before he launched himself silently toward the unguarded counter. His strong jaws clamped firmly around the finest cut of beef in the entire village. It was a glorious hunk of rich red meat, dripping with savory juices and beautifully marbled with delicious white fat. Shouts of sudden anger erupted behind him, but the agile hound was already a fleeting shadow, darting through the winding streets. No angry man or chasing beast could match his desperate speed when a stolen feast rested safely in his mouth. Leaving the noisy town far behind, the panting dog trotted eagerly into the peaceful embrace of the dense forest. Towering oak trees cast long, cool shadows across the winding dirt path. Golden sunbeams pierced the thick canopy above, illuminating dancing specks of dust in the quiet, ancient woods. Barnaby tightened his firm grip on the precious prize, tasting the rich and salty blood on his tongue. His stomach growled a thunderous demand to eat immediately, yet his terrible greed whispered an entirely different command. He stubbornly refused to consume his treasure where another wandering animal might spot him and beg for a tiny scrap. A black raven cawed sharply from a high branch, causing the paranoid dog to quicken his pace with narrowed, suspicious eyes. Every rustling bush and snapping twig sounded exactly like a cunning thief waiting to steal his marvelous feast. He marched relentlessly toward the absolute safety of his hidden den across the wide valley. The pleasant scent of damp earth and blooming wildflowers filled his nose, mingling beautifully with the raw aroma of his heavy meat. Eventually, the steady babble of flowing water reached his twitching ears. A narrow, moss-covered wooden bridge arched gracefully over a wide and winding river. The water down below ran exceptionally clear, moving with a lazy and mesmerizing slowness. The suspense is at its peak right now. Before we discover the outcome of this tense journey, join our community so you never miss what comes next. Dusty Paws stepped carefully onto the aged, rotting planks of the creaking bridge. The weary hound paused at the very center of the span, seeking a brief moment of rest for his trembling legs. He leaned his heavy head lazily over the low wooden railing to gaze down into the tranquil depths. The glassy surface of the gently flowing river acted as a perfect mirror beneath the bright midday sun. Staring right back at him from the watery abyss was another, seemingly identical, dog. Barnaby froze in total, paralyzed disbelief, his dark eyes widening at the shocking sight below. The phantom creature possessed the exact same scruffy ears and the identically rigid, threatening posture. However, the fiercely greedy hound paid absolutely no attention to those striking physical similarities. His obsessive, burning gaze locked entirely onto the massive chunk of meat resting snugly in the stranger's mouth. Through the shimmering, magical distortion of the gentle current, the underwater prize appeared magically twice as thick and impossibly juicier than his own. Bitter, toxic envy flared instantly within his tight chest, burning significantly hotter than the summer sun. He could not bear the thought of this submerged, unknown rival claiming a vastly grander feast right before his eyes. The foolish dog quickly convinced himself that he rightfully deserved to possess both magnificent pieces of meat. A low, rumbling, and dangerous growl vibrated deep within his dusty throat. Down below the surface, the watery reflection perfectly matched his aggressive warning with a terrifyingly silent snarl. Blind anger clouded his previously sharp judgment completely, erasing any lingering memory of the precious meal currently resting against his own tongue. He firmly decided he would terrify this insolent stranger and claim the ultimate treasure for his own swollen belly. Gathering all his fierce, explosive strength, the dog thrust his head forward and unleashed a loud, furious bark. The very instant his jaws snapped forcefully open, cruel gravity instantly claimed his hard-earned prize. The heavy, succulent slab of beef plummeted straight downward, slipping completely effortlessly from his careless mouth. A tremendously loud splash violently shattered the quiet afternoon as the meat broke the river's calm, glassy surface. Countless ripples rapidly distorted the clear reflection, quickly washing away the phantom rival and his illusory feast in a chaotic swirl of water. Barnaby watched in sheer, heartbreaking horror as his beautiful meal sank rapidly into the dark, muddy depths, lost entirely forever to the swirling current. He stood utterly alone on the silent, empty bridge, his belly growling and his mouth tasting only the bitter, cold wind. Those who grasp at empty shadows will eventually lose the real substance. Contentment is a quiet wealth that foolish greed can only destroy.